What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share the video. Hit the join button and become a member. Why? Well, members get exclusive content like they're about to do today. Hit the bell icon on my channel so that you'll receive a notification every time that I drop a video, and you can go check the video out. Let's get into it. This is about Young Thug. Many of you know who Young Thug is, a rapper out of Atlanta who started a rap group back in 2012 called YSL. The prosecutors allege that YSL stands for Young Slime Life. Young Thug, however, said that it stands for Young Successful Life. Young Thug is in trial right now as we speak, facing numerous charges that can send him away for a lifetime in prison, including the RICO Act, racketeering, alleged unalivings. They are accusing him of being a gang leader, a ringleader, and in fact, that YSL is a gang, not a rap group, but a gang responsible for trafficking, unalivings, attempted unalivings, extortion, and the list goes on. They claim that Young Thug is the leader of this alleged gang. Like he's supposed to be the leader of the rap group. Instead, he's really the leader of a gang. YSL is a gang, according to the government, and not a rap group. They indicted him and came and arrested him. And here, I'm about to take you to the beginning of his trial. Again, he's already in trial. But to bring those of you up to date who may not know what's going on with this, I'm going to play this for you. This details the charges against Young Thug and all of the key players involved in the case. There were 28 of them arrested at first and charged, 28 members of his crew with the RICO Act and racketeering, etc. That was since dwindled down to 14 people charged. And many of them began to turn on Young Thug and confirm that he was in fact a gang leader responsible for many dastardly crimes. And in the next video, I'll get into the trial and what's been going on in the trial, and it has been crazy. The judge on the case, a black judge, had a secret meeting with the prosecution and one of the witnesses. Unbeknownst to the defense caught wind of it and exposed the judge. And the judge held the attorney in contempt, Young Thug's attorney, and sent them to jail. He also sent a witness to jail for refusing to testify. The judge was overturned immediately by the Supreme Court, who are now looking into him and his dealings, because this judge has been very shady. It is clear that they want Young Thug. He is the big fish. They want him behind bars. They want to convict him and put him in prison for the rest of his life. And so everyone is turning on Young Thug now. And again, I'm just going to bring you up to date. This is the beginning of the trial. And here you will learn the charges against Young Thug and the prosecution's theory. And again, you will learn many characters involved in the case. This video is necessary before I bring you actual footage, which I'm going to do next, of the trial and what's been going on inside of the trial and give you my take on it. And it is crazy. But before I do, let's get into this right here. Young Thug, the rapper out of Atlanta, Many of you are familiar with him. He's rich and famous and a rapper. Again, he has a rap group called YSL. However, the prosecution alleges that it's not just a rap group, that it is in fact a criminal organization that Young Thug is the leader of and behind many illicit, inexplicable, grisly crimes.
You acknowledge that you've been accused of and arrested for robbing women.
Yes.
You acknowledge that you are the same person referred to as Tick in the song by Young Thug entitled You, in the verse, She Getting Robbed by Tick.
Yes.
The trial of rapper Young Thug is about to begin. Law and Crime Network executive producer Kathy Russin comes on to do a deep dive on all that we know and what has happened in this major case. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. All right, let's talk about the trial of Grammy award-winning rapper Young Thug, which at the time of this recording is about to start jury selection. This is down in Atlanta, Georgia. The rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams, is facing 8 criminal counts, including conspiracy to violate the state's RICO or racketeering law. Essentially, he and what was originally 28 other defendants, although that number has been whittled down to, I believe, 14 now. I'll explain why in a minute. They were all charged in this large, sweeping indictment. The claim is that Williams co-founded a street gang called YSL, or Young Slime Life, back in 2012 that absolutely wreaked havoc on the city. Now, we have people charged with everything from attempted armed robbery to murder. There is a lot to unpack. There is a lot to understand, and there's a lot to break down in terms of what this case is, what has already happened. So to help me, I want to bring in a very special guest, somebody who has been following this case very closely, someone who the Twitter community has now dubbed Young Russ, Law and Crime Network's executive producer, Kathy Russin. Kathy, great to have you here. I'm not going to call you Young Russ, even though I do like that name for you.
Who would have ever thought?
I want to show you how you can land a 6-figure remote cybersecurity job in 90 days or less. As I said,
Thought this is where I would land.
How far you've come. How far you've come. So I think it's good to start with giving, I gave a brief synopsis of what this case is about, but can you tell us, basically, generally speaking, what is the allegation against these defendants, and specifically Young Thug?
For Young Thug himself, not only participation in a criminal street gang, but being a leader / founder / in the management part of the street gang to further crimes as in murder, a sweeping indictment basically to get all of these members of YSL, or at least 28 of them, charged with various crimes, and Jeffrey Williams is kind of the lead and the head of that. And so his charges really have to do with furthering the criminal activity, like promoting it, that kind of.
So again, Jeffrey Williams, then, I think they said Jeffrey Lamar Williams is Young Thug's real name, Jeffrey Williams. And again, as you can see, they're saying that he's the leader, the ringleader, head honcho of a criminal street gang, responsible for all of these different crimes. Young Thug denies all of this and says he's just a leader of a rap group. It is not a criminal organization. We'll see soon what the jury says, and we'll get into his trial and the evidence against him coming up soon. I'm going to get to some of that today, I guess. I just wanted to give y'all this, and then I'm going to have to update y'all quickly on what's going on in the trial. So I'll drop another video today regarding that. Let's get to work.
Kind of thing.
Are you tired of all the ads on the sides of websites? You know exactly what I'm talking about. I can't tell you how many times I get targeted for hair product ads. What are they trying to say? That my hair isn't perfect? Is that what we're going at right now? Well, these ads, they target things that we like because our IP addresses are public. Any website you visit knows your IP address and where you're coming from. But if you get a VPN, specifically NordVPN, you can mask your IP address. No more annoying ads. No more annoying hair product ads. I can get my confidence back. You can now shield your data from snoopers and cyber attacks. So what you do is you get NordVPN at nordvpn.com/law and crime, and you'll receive NordVPN's 2-year plan plus 4 months free. Again, that's at nordvpn.com/law and crime. Something else, it is risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. What has the main defense been? Because I've seen it's been, that this is not a street gang at all?
So he claims this is not a gang, that he's a musician, is an artist, and Young Slime Life is not Young Slime Life, and that he has a record deal, and he's not a member of a gang. The problem is, as we'll get into, he's got some of his closest people that have said that it's a gang, and that has started happening in plea deals.
Defendant and his fellow YSL associates committed the drive-by shooting referenced in sections 3 and 4 above on behalf of YSL and to increase the notoriety, reputation, and fear of YSL. Number 6, defendant admitted committing and was convicted of aggravated assault and participation in criminal street gang activity, among other charges, for his participation in the drive-by shooting referenced in sections 3, 4, and 5 above. Number 7, defendant was told by another YSL associate that immediately after the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr., YSL associates met at the McDonald's on Cleveland Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia, to discuss the murder. Number 8, defendant personally knows that one or more YSL associates committed the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr. on behalf of YSL. Number 9, on January the 10th, 2015, after the murder of Donovan Thomas Jr., defendant and other YSL associates gathered at the home of Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, who gave defendant and other YSL associates cash money to lay low.
Kathy, who is this Sledge individual, and why is he so important?
Well, he's going to testify. Now, in some of these plea deals, some of the defendants have been given the right to invoke the Fifth, and some have not, which is very interesting. He does not have the right to invoke the Fifth on any statements he signed off on his plea deal. Well, those include that after drive-by shootings, they went to Jeffrey William, aka Young Thug's home, who gave them cash money to lay low. That's not a good fact for Jeffrey Williams. He's going to testify to drive-by shootings, to murders. After the murder of rival gang member Antonio, Antonio.
David Thomas Jr.
Donovan Thomas?
Thank you so much. After the murder of rival gang member Donovan Thomas is when he says that they went to Young Thug's house. So he's very crucial to the prosecution's case of tying. Look, let's just be honest. They want Jeffrey Williams. The state wants Jeffrey Williams. That's where they're making deals with other people. They want the head, they want the lead, and they want him. And so here Sledge is going to testify, and it's not going to be good facts for Jeffrey Williams.
Yeah, so he got 15 years probation. People might be looking at that and saying it's so lenient. I will be of the opinion that, like you said, they need several of these members to testify against the head of this organization, the alleged head, or it could also be that the case they have against some of these members might not be as strong as they need it to be. And if you charge 28 people and the cases are weak against some and strong against others, the whole case could fall apart. We've seen that happen before. Now that's a possibility. Let's go to Antonio Sumlin. What do we know about him?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are not allowed to possess or use a firearm while on probation?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand that you are not a United States citizen? A guilty conviction will affect your immigration status and will result in deportation, just like a conviction at a trial would, and that this is true regardless of any advice by your attorney or anyone else?
You can get deported.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what do we know about Antonio Sumlin, Kathy?
So Antonio Sumlin, aka Obama, is his street name. He takes a plea. Also, is only just sentenced to probation. A lot of people are talking about these sweet deals these guys are walking out on. Could it be a sweet deal? Maybe. Can members of this alleged gang stay clean for 15 years and not violate probation? 15 years is a long time. So I see talk about that on social media sites that it could be prosecutors think that they're going to end up back behind bars at some point anyway. So Sumlin pleaded guilty to the RICO Act, which all of them are charged with, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit a crime and participation in a street gang.
Hold on, man. I couldn't let that go. So she said, I tried to let it go. Shit, that some people believe it's a prosecutor's belief that they're going to end up back in jail anyway. So go ahead and give them the 15 years probation. They're coming back. How you know that? How you know that they won't change their lives? You're going to hold them to their past? How do you know that they won't change their lives? Do they deserve forgiveness and another chance? America wants forgiveness and another chance. Damn sure should want it. Should be begging for it. Nerve of these people. But so this dude right here, so he's taking a deal, probation, and testifying against Young Thug, against Jeffrey Williams, saying that he is indeed a gang leader and et cetera, et cetera. And the other dude before him too testifying. As I said, a lot of them are turning on him. And we're going to get into that as we get into the trial. You know, your crew, the people who you were feeding, they said that they committed these crimes and went to his house and they gave him money and told him, and a Young Thug gave him money and told him to lay low. And they testifying to all of this. So he looking out for y'all, giving y'all money. Yeah, this is the thanks he gets.
And he also will testify. Now, these ones that like I said, the ones that will now, I have to just say this. The prosecutor words this very interesting when she reads out the plea deal. It's if you are called to testify at any time. I will say that we don't have any guarantees that every single one of these people that took a plea will be called to testify. And we do know that some probably won't, because at least one has been given the right to invoke the Fifth.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not.
As far as I could tell, on everything.
Right. So there's Quantavious Grier, who I believe is the brother of Young Thug. He pleaded guilty last week. He was sentenced to a mix of time served and probation. I think as part of his deal that if he's called to testify, he has to testify truthfully, but it is his right to invoke his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. So he can do that if he wants to, not an option for some other defendants.
The difference in his wording is like what you just said. That for some of these others, they cannot. The wording was they cannot invoke the Fifth on any statements in this plea deal. So they have written out statements that they've initialed, so typed out statements, whatever, that the prosecutors have them initial. They have to testify truthfully to those and are not allowed to invoke the Fifth.
And then we have Trontavious Stevens.
You also acknowledge that on February 4th, 2021, you participated in a group chat with fellow YSL founder Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, and YSL associates Wooney Lee, aka Slime Life Shorty, wherein Jeffrey Williams stated, "YSL rule the world, kid. Y'all just start bringing me the money. Man, y'all stop playing with me." Do you acknowledge that?
Yeah.
Do you acknowledge that on May 13, 2021, you participated in another group chat with fellow YSL founder Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, and YSL associates Martinez Arnold, Miles Farley, Quantavious Grier, Antonio Sumlin, Wooney Lee, wherein Jeffrey Williams asked, "Y'all ain't beat him up or shot him yet?" Then states, "Y'all getting soft."
Yes.
So Trontavious Stevens seems very important for this case.
There's a problem. They have group chats. They have group chats that Jeffrey Williams is in, saying things like, "You haven't shot him yet? You all are getting soft." That's what I guess people would call receipts. The prosecutor has receipts in this case where they have put things in writing. Here's another thing about Stevens, his aka Tick. He goes by Tick or Slug. There's a song. Jeffrey Williams has a song called You, but it's EWE, I believe. And in that, it talks about Tick robbing a woman or women. And in the plea deal, the prosecutor has him acknowledge that he has been accused of and are charged of robbing women in the past. This is important because prosecutor wants to bring in song lyrics. The song lyrics that Young Thug has used, this is a big sticking point, and it's still an outstanding motion by the defense that has not been solved yet, because they went to argue this motion last week, and as a side note, there was a COVID outbreak in the jail where all these guys are, and a bunch of them are COVID positive and or in quarantine. So because of that, they couldn't have this hearing on the motion. Song lyrics. Can they use song? Is song lyrics real life? Or is it just artistry? But they are tying this specific one with Tick to the song lyrics about at least committing a crime of robbing women.
Yeah, even people in the hip hop community have been very against using rap lyrics in criminal cases. But Fannie Willis, who is the district attorney for Fulton County, Georgia, says if you decide to admit your crimes over a beat, I'm going to use it. Let's move on. I want to go to another important individual in this case who, and just to give everybody an idea, Martinez Little Duke Arnold, Oney Slime Life Shawty Lee, and then Walter Murphy. They've all pleaded guilty, as we've been talking about people taking these deals. But now let's talk about fellow YSL rapper Gunna, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens. Kathy, he has an interesting role in this case too.
And do you acknowledge the following statement? I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL the gang to the detriment of my community. YSL as a gang must end. Is that your statement or acknowledgement?
Yes. Paying your bills on time raises your credit score, right? Wrong. In fact, this is one of the three
So he took an Alford plea. He's probably the most famous next to Williams as being known. He took an Alford plea, which means that he does not admit to being guilty, but he admits there's enough evidence that a jury could find him guilty. That's basically what an Alford plea is. And he's come out and said, I did not snitch, I will not snitch, and I will not testify. In his plea, he does have the right to invoke the Fifth. So I would say it's likely he's not going to testify. However, we have his statements made in court. They're recorded by WSB. I'm not sure he knew that was happening because there wasn't a traditional camera set up. It was sort of a last minute hearing. And so the WSB reporter, I believe, did it with his cell phone. And you can find that on YouTube on WSB. But it has him admitting to certain things. And this is what he's admitting. He acknowledges that YSL is a gang. Number one, important. He acknowledges that some members of the gang have committed crimes. And in his statement, I quote, he says, I recognize, accept, and deeply regret that my talent and music indirectly furthered YSL, the gang, to the detriment of my community. YSL is a gang and must end. That is a statement from Gunna that he signed off on. I think that...
Okay, so my bad, Gunna. My mistake, y'all. Earlier I said that Gunna was testifying, or the one that was showing a picture of him, I said that he was one of the ones that testified. He's not testifying. He did not testify. He took an Alford plea, which is, as she explained, is relatively admitting guilt. But he said, and it's recorded, this statement right here, that the gang must end, and etc. But he's not testifying. One of the ones that is not testifying against Young Thug, but many of them are.
I think he didn't know that that recording had happened when he made statements. I don't know, but I think it's pretty evident that I don't know how Jeffrey Williams can claim YSL is not a gang when now we have multiple members of YSL that are close to him saying it's a gang.
Real quick, Kathy, what's the value of him if he's not forced to testify? I mean, I think the case against him might have been weak. That's what I think.
Correct. He only had the one count, the RICO count. So that's the top count. The RICO count's the top count. All 28 are charged with that. There are some that are only charged with that and nothing else, and Gunna was one of them. And so it must have been a weak case against him.
Now, talking about people who take deals, we saw at least one person being offered what seemed like a really good deal and turned it down. I'm talking about Tanquarius Mender, a.k.a. Nard. What can you tell us about what deal was offered to him and this rejection?
And I'm sure that Ms. Fagan, she is a very fine attorney. I've seen her work. But trials, there's one thing about trials, it's uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen. So you got to beat 4 counts. If you don't beat them, what will happen is, under this A and C recidivist statute, I have to, under the law, sentence you to the maximum sentence. And then whatever I sentence you to, you serve to the door. That's not anything I have any discretion over. It's not anything because I don't like you or because of what you're being charged with or whatever. Those have nothing to do with anything. That's what the state of Georgia, the legislature has mandated that I sentence you to. So one of the things a plea does is it...
He has some flexibility. I'm sure he's lying. If it was his son, he would figure something out. This is the judge that's on the case, that's in the trial that I was referring to earlier, and we're going to get into a lot about this judge and have plenty of footage on him really putting the nail in his own coffin. This judge is a piece of work. Pay attention to him.
You know what you're getting. It caps your exposure. So, and what the state's telling you today is if you take the plea today, this is what you're going to get, and this is what I probably sentence you to, and you're done. You got to decide that for yourself. You can't be worried about any of these other folks that are attached to this indictment.
The last day of pretrial hearings last week, the prosecutor stood up and said she has 3 more plea offers on the table. One was to Tanquarius Mender, a.k.a. Nard, a.k.a. Stunna. He is facing a maximum of 50 years in prison. His offer was leave today. 16 years to serve 1 year, which would be commuted. So he would have 15 years on probation and could walk out. He would not take the deal, and the judge sounded shocked.
Why do you think he turned it down?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, at least he's staying strong. He's asking now, why did he turn the deal down? 15 years probation and you walk, as opposed to facing 50 years. But he's probably worried about admitting guilt. In the past, I've had crimees. I know of other people, of course, who had crimees. And when one pleads guilty and the other one is still fighting the case, it makes the other one look guilty. If y'all charged with the same thing, if we both charged with an unaliving and I'm pleading guilty to it, and you saying you didn't do it, and the prosecution is saying that we both did it, and I'm admitting guilt, then yeah, that's just like saying you did it too. So he may have turned down a deal, this stunner guy, because he doesn't want young thug to look guilty. Perhaps a stand-up gentleman.
No, I mean, I think people are shocked that some of these guys have taken a plea. I don't know if the whole, snitches get stitches thing, members of a gang don't turn on each other, they don't talk. I don't know if he's standing strong in that.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that's why the judge said to him, you can't do it because of other people who are in this indictment. You have to do what's right for you. And we know that Durante Bebby, I might be saying his name incorrectly, A.K. Bay, he faces a life sentence for his crimes. And there was talk about whether or not, he seemed to reject the deal that was offered to him too, although he's kind of on the fence about it, right?
So he okay, let me just tell you that I'm not going to say we know 100% sure about Bebe or about Mender, because this is what we know. The prosecutor said she has 3 plea offers. She said they expire at the end of business today. She was very clear about that. The judge had all 3 of these guys go back and talk, and there was like a 2-hour delay or something in the hearing. At the end of the day, they came back on the record and only handled the 1 plea deal. So that's it. We never heard another word about BB or Bebby or Mender. So we have to assume they rejected it because it was off the table at end of business day, and they ended court around 6 p.m. and those 2 never came back with a plea. Now, Bebe was offered 20 years. He's facing 90 years. Faces life plus 90 years, okay? Forever. He was offered 20 years, but only served 6. If you're facing life plus 90, and you were offered 6 years and you turned it down, it's shocking to me. So I don't know if these guys just think this case is going to fall apart on everyone, or what is happening, but
Or their reputation, they don't want to.
Sometimes that's more important, I would guess.
And talking about reputation, somebody did something kind of interesting in court. We were in the middle of, I believe it was Young.
So some of them are testifying against Young Thug, confirming or alleging that YSL is indeed a street gang and that Young Thug is and was the leader. Others, as we can see, such as Bebe and Stunner and Gunna, are refusing deals and, refusing to testify. Now, Gunner did take a deal, but he took the Alford plea again, not admitting guilt, but saying that it's enough guilt to find him guilty, therefore he'll just take the Alford plea. Again, essentially, the law considers that a guilty plea, technically. But as we can see, others have not even taken a plea, pleading guilty to any. Some of them are facing 90 years, and some of them are facing life. And the one dude was facing 50 years and wouldn't take probation. The one dude facing life plus 90 years would not take 6 years. And she's saying, I don't know why. I don't know if they think the case is just going to roll over, just fall apart, like they're just about to walk out of here. They're not taking this case serious. They're not taking this probation in 6 years. I don't know what's going on. Well, we're going to update you as we go along as to what happened with these dudes. Did they eventually take a deal? Are they in trial with Young Thug? Did they eventually turn on them? What the hell's going on with Bebe and Stunner?
Thug's attorney making an argument about evidence and whether or not I don't even know how to make a joke about this. Something happened, Kathy. What happened?
Well, as we know, in the world of COVID and post-COVID, there's a lot of Zoom hearings going on. And it's true in this case, there's some people in person, but there's also a Zoom. And some of the attorneys and then attorneys' partners and whoever else are allowed to have this Zoom link and can be there via Zoom listening in on the hearings. And it's on a monitor and it's on a laptop on the lectern that is where the attorneys stand. And as he's talking, there's some pornographic stuff that starts going on the Zoom.
And it says free Young Thug, which,
And it's very graphic, and
yes.
You can see, we've blurred it. You can find it on our YouTube page. You don't see a close-up or anything because it's like the screen that's in front of him and the camera's on the other side of the room. But as we know, there were a lot of Zoom hearings that were bombed like that during COVID. And so somehow that happened. And the only reason it got brought to our attention, because like I said, it wasn't that noticeable. It wasn't like the camera was right on the Zoom, except the judge said, that's it. We are creating a new Zoom link. Attorneys, listen to me. That is only to be given out to attorneys in this case. And so I was like, wait, what just happened? And we had to rewind and figure out what had just happened.
Oh, and we saw it. Now, just to give you an idea, this has all been happening even before the trial started. The trial is they say jurors are going to be on that for 6 to 9 months. They sent out 600 jury summons. They get paid $25 a day. It's going to be tough to see if they can what kind of jury they'll ultimately get, but we will continue to follow this trial here on Law and Crime. And I know that if you want up-to-date updates about what is happening, you could go to Kathy Russin on her Twitter to follow the latest. Young Russ, thanks so much for taking.
Okay, y'all, so there you have it. Young Thug on trial. For, as we can see, various things. Including unalivings, being a leader of a gang, racketeering, the RICO Act, etc. So we're getting to his trial, as I said, as we go along. His trial is now in progress. A lot has been going on in this trial. A lot of witnesses involved, a lot of people held in contempt. Again, the judge is a character and has been involved is really the star of the trial at this point, this judge. I'm going to bring you some video of this. I'm going to bring you some footage, and let's see if Bebe and Stunner, have kept to their guns, held their guns by holding out on these deals and not talking and etc. Or have they turned on Young Thug at this point? We'll get into it. in the very next video concerning this. We get into that. So Young Thug is on trial. YSL is on trial again, as you can see, for the RICO Act, racketeering. He's a rapper. They are accusing him of being more than a rapper. That is not a rap group. That it is instead a criminal organization on the street responsible for many dastardly crimes, and that Young Thug, aka Jeffrey Williams, is the leader of this criminal organization, the leader of this gang, and responsible, for the most part, for a lot of the gang's doings. Some gang members, alleged gang members, are confirming this and testifying against him. That's what the trial is about. He's been indicted on this. They've indicted other rappers for similar stuff. Is this the rap police, or do they actually have evidence against Young Thug? Is this a matter of the system trying to take down another black man who is successful and won't play ball with them? Or do they have evidence against Young Thug? Are these allegations accurate? We'll get into it. We have footage to bring you. In the meantime, stay free, people!